Howdy, folks. Welcome to the first edition, the inaugural episode of the Political Patriot podcast. P3, P cubed, however you want to say it. This is a kind of a new endeavor for me. I have spent the last 4 years doing the Sticks-n-Stonez Cigar and Spirit Show, and just wanted to try my hand at branching out into another thing that I'm passionate about other than cigars and spirits, which is our country, the Constitution, and the political climate, economy, all of that kind of stuff. So, I am a registered libertarian. I can find things wrong with both the Republican and the Democratic Party. I tend to side with the Republicans, but I am more socially liberal and fiscally conservative. Kind of tells you a little bit about me. I joined the Libertarian Party several years ago after I got disillusioned with the two-party system. One of the things that I'm going to be doing when I do this podcast is, if I'm outside like I am now, I may be sharing a cigar, although I just finished recording an episode of Sticks-n-Stones. I don't really want to smoke a second one. But the other thing is, I'm always going to have a handy spirit nearby. Today's spirit, which I just got finished reviewing, you can go to Sticks-n-Stonez, Sticks-N-Stonez. You can find on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, all those places. The spirit of the day is Tula Mordu Caribbean Rum Cask Finish. So it's a really good serviceable spirit, kind of a, base spirit. It's just odd because it is aged in rum casks. So, but what I'm going to try and keep this one short today because it's kind of the first thing. Just want to give you a little insight into the Libertarian Party. And I think a lot of people find out after they know a little more about it that they really are like more libertarian than they thought they were, because things aren't just always, black and white. It's just not. That's the way it works. But the Libertarian Party was founded in 1971 here in the U.S., and it was largely in part due to, as it was with me, the dissatisfaction with the political landscape and the two-party system, and at that time, growing concerns over the Vietnam War, rising taxes, increasing government intervention in both the economy and our personal lives. The party was founded by David Nolan and a group of libertarian-leaning individuals who were inspired by classical liberal principles. There's not a lot of that left today in the Democratic Party. They are supposed to be the liberal party, but their liberal has continued marching farther and farther and farther left, to where it doesn't really hold any vision of what classical liberalism was like. It's not that anymore. When you think of a classic kind of liberal, you're thinking like John F. Kennedy. That kind of, ask not what your country can do for you, what you can do for your country. Watch the movie 13 Days. He stood his ground against the Russians and won. So, anyway, but libertarians advocate for minimal government and maximum individual freedom. And that is where you end up sticking a lot of the two-party people, because there's things that libertarians believe that they may not believe. We'll get more into that as we go. But the Libertarian Party quickly positioned itself as a political alternative to the two dominant parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, offering a platform of free markets, civil liberties, non-interventionist foreign policies, and small government. And that's basically what it is. And you probably, if you listen to those things, you probably hear a lot of those things that come from one of the other two parties, because libertarians are not moderates. We are staunchly believe what we believe, but we're not moderates. Moderates kind of go with the flow, whichever way the wind blows. They're always trying to appease and make deals. And libertarians believe that individual liberty is the basis of our system of government, and we have been getting kind of farther and farther and farther away from that. It grew steadily in the 1970s and 80s, and while it remained a minority party, it is the largest third party in terms of voter registration in the United States today. And there are actually, I know, local, like city, county libertarians that are holding office. I believe there are a few, handful, like half a dozen or so, that are holding state legislature offices. We do not have, at least at this point in time, any registered libertarians in the Senate or the House. Although there are a few people that you could make the case for them being that. Rand Paul would be one of them, senator from Kentucky. He has a lot of libertarian views. Massey, can't remember his first name, but Representative Massey. He's another one that holds a lot of more libertarian views, but they still affiliate with the Republican Party because if you don't have the money of the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, you're not going to be able to break that golden ceiling and make it up there. I really think it's almost going to have to be somebody that takes office as a Republican or a Democrat and then changes their affiliation. But, you know, that could get a little hairy because people would be like, we voted for you because of this, not because of that. But I think as people begin to understand what the Libertarian Party is, what they believe, how big their tent is, they will come to appreciate the fact that there is a third option. And, you know, I mean, honestly, I think the only way we're ever going to make any inroads into getting to where this country needs to be, kind of more where it was in the heyday, the golden age, the 50s and 60s. I know there's all kinds of other sundry issues out there that, you know, we're having civil rights issues and all that. But I mean, as far as prosperity and what the country looked like, you always think about the people in the 50s and I don't know, I leave it to Beaver kind of Christmases and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Those kinds of things. I think we've made a lot of inroads into the other areas, such as the civil rights issues with minorities and things like that. But there's, you know, I mean, there could be more to be done. I don't agree with the liberal side of it, where they're getting into, we want reparations and we want this and we want that. No, we are where we are. We can't live in the past like that. We're not going to be able to raise all boats by taxing the rich. It's not going to work. Anyway, kind of getting off topic, and this is going to kind of be, that's why I'm kind of trying to keep this short because I could ramble for a long time. But the party is consistently run candidates for national and local offices. You may not even notice them because you're so focused on either the Democrats or the Republicans. But in most elections, you will find somewhere along the ballot, you will find libertarians, and maybe you should toss a vote to them every now and again. You could always use the help. The first libertarian presidential candidate was John Hospers. He ran in 1972, and he did receive one electoral vote. Little drink to Mr. Hospers. He was the only third-party candidate to do that in that election. The most successful national campaigns have been recent with candidates like Gary Johnson. He ran for president in 2012 and again in 2016, and he did manage to gain some significant media presence, and he did receive over 4 million votes nationally in the 2016 election. So it's about 3.27% of the popular vote. Long way to go. But as I said, I think as people begin to learn more about the Libertarian Party, they may find out that they may actually kind of fall there and didn't know it. Now, the party platform is based on the belief that individuals should have the freedom to live their lives as they see fit, provided they do not, key here, infringe on the rights of others. That's where most people get tripped up when you're talking about the two-party system. For instance, the Second Amendment. Freedom fatigues. Love this t-shirt. If you can see this on the recording, there's going to be a link to Freedom Fatigues. They are a veteran-owned business. I support them. I have a bunch of their gear. It is great quality stuff, and it is made right here in the USA down in South Carolina. So, but back to what we were on. The party emphasizes the protection of personal liberties and a minimal role in government or for government in the daily lives of individuals. Now, some of these key principles include the Libertarian Party advocates for the protection of civil liberties, including freedom of speech, freedom of privacy, freedom of association. It supports the rights of individuals to make decisions about their own bodies as they see fit, including support for the decriminalization of certain drugs, protection of reproductive rights, and opposition to government surveillance. That's where you see Rand Paul. He has been a staunch advocate for some of the things that were put in place after the events of 9/11. Economic freedom. The party calls for a free market economy with minimal government intervention. And if you listen to some of the great economist speakers, and I don't think I said that exactly right, but anyway, like Milton Friedman and Thomas Sowell, you listen to some of their lectures, you realize that we don't really have, even though we call it a free market and we call it the capitalist system, what we currently have has morphed more into a corporatist system where the corporations wield enough power that they can make changes to laws, regulations, policies at the national level because they can hire the lobbyist. And they get a lot more of what they want than we get what we want. It opposes government regulations and subsidies and advocates for the elimination of the income tax, replacing them with a form of kind of a limited form of revenue generation. A lot of people forget that we've only had the income tax for about 110 years, somewhere around 1911. Prior to that, the government raised all of its funds from tariffs and duties on imports and exports. And then we had this voluntary system of income tax that if you try to voluntarily not pay it, the IRS will come and take your stuff. That's not voluntary. Also, along with that, the party believes in the privatization of services such as education, healthcare, Social Security. We have a non-interventionist foreign policy. We oppose military intervention in foreign conflicts as much as possible and call for a defense-oriented military policy that avoids entanglements and alliances in foreign nation building. That's not should be what we're about. We should be about America. So we support bringing home troops from overseas, ending the military interventions abroad, shutting down overseas bases, and really limited government overall. The Libertarian Party believes that government should only exist to protect the rights of individuals and that any government action that goes beyond this scope is a violation of liberty. And that's really the way the Constitution was written. The Constitution is not a constraint on us. It is not what we're allowed to do. Our freedoms are complete except through the enumerated powers. So we have the freedom of speech. Now, there have been court cases, specifically like in the freedom of speech. Can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater if there's not a fire there. I mean, that kind of, you can't use a free speech argument for that. But it is it is the constraint on the government, not the constraint on the people. That's probably one of the biggest things that people don't understand or they forget, because that's not the way the politicians in Washington operate. They operate like we can do whatever we want, and they only want to throw the Constitution into things when it's something that they're opposed to. And quite honestly, I'll get to this in a minute. We'll go on with it. I want to only make sure I get through all of this. And you may have to watch this a couple of times and pick up on all these things. We also oppose welfare programs, corporate bailouts, expansive federal regulations. We favor drastic reductions in government size, advocating for a return of many of the powers to the states and local governments. Again, the Constitution sets forth the enumerated powers of what the government can do, what they are in charge of. And there have been a lot of liberties taken with what they can do. And they generally try and put as much of it as they possibly can under the general welfare clause. Oh, well, this is for the general welfare of the people, so we can do this. You can't put everything under the general welfare clause, or you could say we can have a communist state because of the general welfare clause. And the communists are going to, their idea is they can take care of everybody. You look for to the government for everything. Free trade and immigration. We promote unrestricted free trade between nations, and we do support open immigration policies. That doesn't mean there is they do add a little bit more to that, where I kind of hedge a little bit, because I do believe in the sovereign nations. If you're a sovereign nation, you have the right to control your borders. That is one of the key items in determining whether a country is sovereign or not, is that you have definable, defendable, maintained borders. So, but the Libertarian Party's stance is that they believe individuals should have the right to move freely across borders, provided they do not pose a threat to public property or safety. And there you're getting into like all these people that we just found out, whether it was in the last 4 years or whether those figures are long term. Still, you've got 500,000 convicted felon illegal immigrants running around. That's illegal, 500,000 felonies from their home country. And then you've got something like 25,000 rapists and murderers. Yeah, we should not be letting them in. Criminal justice reform. The Libertarian Party seeks to end the war on drugs. It has been a failure, as we can see from all the fentanyl and all that kind of stuff everywhere. We catch some of it, but we don't catch nearly all of it. And this is kind of where I can kind of see some areas for my own individual feelings. But the policy, the platform, is to eliminate mandatory minimum sentencing and ensure that nonviolent offenders are not disproportionately punished. The Libertarian Party opposes the death penalty. I do not. I'm from Texas. If you killed somebody, we will kill you back. That is our policy. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. But again, the Libertarian Party is a big tent. They won't kick you out because you don't believe in doing away with the death penalty. Overall, the Libertarian Party's platform is centered on reducing the power of government, protecting our individual rights, and allowing markets and communities to operate freely without excessive regulation and oversight. While it has remained a kind of a minor party, third party, we have had a growing influence, particularly among voters who have become disillusioned with the two-party system. That's how I ended up here. I got to noticing, think about it. Just think about it. Whether it's Republican or Democrat, They all run out of their chambers when their session ends, and they go run into the reporters, and then they basically all sit and do the same thing. They pound on their chest and say the Democrats will be like, Democrat good, Republican bad. The Republicans are on the other side of the building going, Republican good, Democrat bad. That's the way it always is. Everything is the other party's fault. No, it's all our fault because we voted you yahoos into office and shouldn't have. I would think that there's probably 80%, maybe even 90%, they don't deserve to be up there. There's a few, but those are typically the ones that don't spend their life up there. Trey Gowdy, he's a Republican. I love Trey Gowdy. He has a lot of great things to say. He did several terms, and then he said, I'm done with this. I'm going back to South Carolina. I'm going to live my life. HBO had a miniseries here a while back where they followed around like a half a dozen freshly elected congressmen. They were like half Republican, half Democrat. And they followed them around what their daily, activities were and interviewed them, various things. And by the end of the documentary, half of them were not going to seek reelection. And every one of them said, can't get anything done if you're not willing to toe the party line and raise party money. You can't get on good committees and you can't make a difference. It's what's good for the party, not what's good for the people. And that's the problem. And that is what we have to try and correct. Those people work for us. We are not kissing their boots, as it were. And right now, we not like Donald Trump. He's got a lot of really great ideas. He wants to secure our border. I'm for that. He wants to get government as far out of the economy as he possibly can. I'm for that. And he wants us to be energy independent. And I'm for that too. So, so far, I have not found anything that I'm for when it comes to Kamala. And as is usual, the Libertarian Party candidate, I just don't like. I think it is. I think it is going to. It's going to take somebody with a big name, like Donald Trump did when he came to the Republican Party back in 2016, to make some waves, and have any kind of influence on the political system. I think until we have a third party that holds enough seats, you're not going to get anything other than Republican good, Democrat bad, Democrat good, Republican bad, because they have nobody else that they have to turn to. All they have to do is stay strong within their party. But if there's three parties and both the major parties can't get anything done without another party, now you have to figure some things out, and you have to start doing what's a little better for the people and not better for the party, right? That's kind of where I am about it. Now, I think I'll leave it at that today. But I'm going to be doing these periodically. May even turn this into a weekly thing. We'll see how it goes. That's not my job. I wish I could. I wish I could make this my job and not have to worry about going to work and just come out on the patio and talk to y'all. But I can't do that. I can't make enough money unless you want to get some the Political Patriot podcast gear. I'll be putting a link up for that too, because I've already got some gear made. So I will go ahead and leave it right there. I enjoy being able to get to do this for this first time. I hope I'm going to be able to do this a lot more. And I hope somebody doesn't come and shut me down because I'm saying things they don't like for me to hear. It's a free country. If you don't like it, turn it off. I'm not like the president. I'm not on every channel, right? So if you don't like it, unfollow me, whatever. But I would love for you to like, subscribe, share, notify, all that. I'm on Twitter, The Political Patriot. And I'll be branching out into others as I'm getting this thing going. But until then, have a great day.